Welcome to the Wildcast Podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios, with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Oh, welcome back to Wildcast Studios for another episode of the Wildcast Podcast, your unofficial voice for all things Moncton Wildcats. As always, Fanishers, I am your host, Adam, and of course, I am joined by your favorite co-hoster. Good to see him back here, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. Buddy, your weekend was a little bit stressful. How you doing?
Yeah, you're right.
And it's not hockey related.
No,
we'll get into that.
We'll get into it was eventful, unexpectedly eventful.
Yep.
So Thursday evening, my father-in-law had a stroke, and so our Friday night, our Thursday night, Friday morning was kind of hectic.
Yep.
Trying to decide what to do, and so I guess we grabbed Avery from school early on Friday and went down to Halifax to be with him and make sure everything was good there. And
So when you say deciding what to do, you mean leave Thursday night or leave Friday morning?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, do we wake Avery up in the middle of the night and drive down? I mean, at that point there was no.
Well, what can you do, right?
Yeah,
that's the worst part is when someone goes to the hospital, you're like, we got to get there.
Yeah.
Well, what can you do?
So there was really no sense. Like, Megan went to work on Friday morning and she was like, I can't be here right now. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Like, we'll let's go grab Avery. So we grabbed Avery from school around noon and drove down, got there probably 3:30, and it was just I think everything's going well. He's still in the hospital, should be there till the end of the week, and
which is why you're here. I would not make him come back if things went well.
No, I was
Jeremy, can you make the drive back for the record and then
can you steal your father-in-law's Wi-Fi and do the show?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a call. We're going to do this on the phone virtually, but
we got back Sunday night, and like I said, he's going to be good. He's probably, they're saying he's going to be out of the hospital by end of the week, and there's physio and stuff that will need to be done, and they're saying he's going to have minor memory loss, I guess. That became evident over the weekend too. He was names and stuff, that's fine, but what day of the week it was, what time it was, that was
So he knew all you guys from from the minute you got there.
He knew I was he knew I was still his favorite son-in-law, and
that's all that matters.
There's actually two others, so I'm not the only one. So he knew I was the favorite, and names and stuff, that's no issues there. So and luckily Megan's brother was there, and if he wasn't there, we probably could be having a different outcome, right? Because you never know.
He was there with with her dad.
So he's Ben's the one that called 911 and noticed that he's in training to become a firefighter, so he kind of has that knowledge of the signs of a stroke, and he called 911 and paramedics showed up, and so if it wasn't for Ben being there,
Jesus,
could have been a different outcome. But luckily he was, and
good job, Ben.
Good job, bro. And that was basically my weekend. It was a lot of hospital visits.
God, those are the worst places in the world, eh?
They are the worst, because you still have to wear a mask, and it's the beard kind of, it tickles a little bit.
I hate hospitals in general. But I understand, because I didn't have a stroke, but in the summer I had Bell's palsy, which is basically the same as a stroke. It affects everything from below your eye and down, and it's like, so you have the slurred talking, and I just thought I had a I thought it hit something on my tooth and it swole on the other side, but you start Googling stuff, and I'm like, well, it's not getting better, so what is this? And then you start getting to signs of a stroke, and I didn't even think of Bell's palsy until I went to the hospital, but there are certain signs, so it's freaking scary when your body kind of shuts down on you, and for no, I literally came home, was doing just fine, laid down for 10 minutes, got up, and all of a sudden one side of my face was droopy. So I can't imagine, it was probably something that came quick on form. They don't really know why, right? There's nothing that led up to it that he remembers.
Well, he's got health issues. He's diabetic and high blood pressure. He's basically the cornucopia of everything you could possibly.
If you were going to check the boxes for a stroke patient,
just checking all the boxes. But honestly, like it's good that Ben was around because he heard the fall. Right, he was in his bedroom and heard the fall and didn't think much of it first. Thought maybe, his dad was making a sandwich and the peanut butter fell on the ground. Something like that. And he just said there was something in me that said go check on him in the living room, and found him on the floor. So it was I guess just intuition to think, okay, well, this doesn't. Maybe I should go make sure everything was okay, and good thing he did. Good thing he wasn't sleeping or what. So that was the story. It was was very eventful. Very stressful, unexpected. But everything now is going
best possible outcome.
Yeah, 100%. Everything's going well. So we're just waiting to see when he's out of the hospital, and then we'll make sure everything's good.
Perfect. Well, yeah, like I said, that's. I know you messaged me, I can't tweet the game. This happened. I don't give a shit about tweeting the hockey game, bro. Yeah. They don't earn our tweets right now. But obviously, I'm glad that everything kind of went as good as it could have gone for you. Did you enjoy the Royal Rumble? How much of it did you watch?
Well, I watched the men's match because I think...
And I want to say, thankfully, you weren't watching the hockey game and tweeting because I was there live, not the Royal Rumble. I was at the hockey game. And you're like, oh, the men's Royal Rumble starting the whole pay-per-view. I'm like, son of a... And it got to 5-3, which you're going to hear in a little bit. And I popped on my Bell TV on my phone, and I watched the men's Royal Rumble and geeked out when Brock Lesnar came around. I was just watching something like, Brock! And everyone's kind of looking at me, and I'm like, I'm watching the Royal Rumble. Absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah, it caught me off guard that it was the first match of the night, right? And it just never,
which then I kind of thought maybe Sammy was going to be involved in the start and the main
and
event,
the finish,
right?
yeah. But no, I watched that. I did exactly what you told me to do. Go on TikTok, find some guy who's got, who's live on TikTok, and he's got his phone pointing at the TV, and he's got it going on, and
that's how I watched Survivor Series, and that's how I watched, I think, the one that was in Saudi Arabia. Is people on TikTok, they end up. I saw when I got home, I did the live, then I got the WWE Network because I usually get it for the Royal Rumble. I hate streaming. I got it for the Rumble, and I usually keep it until WrestleMania, and then after WrestleMania, I get rid of it. But I was watching it while watching Sandy and the other guy from Straight Shoot on TikTok.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I was watching their reactions live just because it's wrestling talk. I was listening to them while watching it. So I stayed up for the whole thing, watched the press conferences, which is kind of funny.
That was different, eh?
Yeah, they started doing that. I don't know if that's a Triple H thing or an online thing, but they started doing press conferences. I'm like, but you guys know the outcome before you get to the arena. So no Rock in the Rumble, which I thought, or in the event at all. If you're listening to this and you haven't watched Royal Rumble, it's not my fault. Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley won both. Expected those to win. I wanted Sammy like you. Cody Rhodes makes the most sense. I thought we'd see The Rock, but we did see Sammy turn his back on the Bloodline.
Yeah, that was good. I think I like where that's going.
Yeah. I think that's because it's in LA. You're going to see it too. And plus Elimination Chambers in Montreal. So that leads up to that. But other than that, that was my weekend. Because we're gonna find out in a little while the rest of it wasn't all that great. So you don't come here for the wrestling talk. You can follow a lot of other people. Aiden, Pat, they're probably better with the wrestling info. As always, you can follow us on social medias: Twitter, Moncton Wildcast, Instagram, Wildcast Podcast, TikTok, Wildcast Podcast, and here on the YouTube, you can stream it. I'm going to take the quick question just quickly, right from the league page. Which Western Conference team do you think will finish? It says will win the division, but I think they mean the conference. Gatineau, Rouyn-Noranda, Sherbrooke, and Victoriaville, because they're all basically tied right at the top right now.
That's a tough one. It's,
Sherbrooke's got 66, Gatineau 64, Victoriaville 64, and Rouyn-Noranda at 58. So a little behind there for Rouyn-Noranda, but I would probably, out of those 4, take them out. But who do you think? Because I'm gonna stick with the guys that I'm going with all year, and that's Gatineau. I think eventually they're gonna get that number 1 seed. So I would say they will probably win the Western Conference, or at least be the number 1 team in the Western Conference. Yourself?
Honestly, I'm. I've said all along, I like the moves Sherbrooke made. I think Sherbrooke addressed their needs more than those other teams. So I will have to go with Sherbrooke.
All right,
yeah, that's just how.
And Gatineau is going to play Rouyn-Noranda a lot in the division, and Sherbrooke and Victoriaville are going to play a lot of each other in their central division down the stretch, because like most teams, as you get into the second half, it's kind of you play in your division because it's just closer in travel. Not that Quebec has a big deal in travel, but yeah, I mean, that's either one of those teams. I think right now they might actually face off in the third round. Where's my schedule? If you reset the standings right now, it's Quebec, Halifax, Sherbrooke, and Gatineau. So Halifax has avoided taking on Quebec in that third round if they were to get there, depending on their goaltending so much. So it'll be interesting down the stretch. Halifax is now the heater they're on. I mean, Quebec continues to win, but everyone's talking about Quebec, and Halifax is only 6 points behind them. And
they're on a heater.
They've got a more favorable matchup-wise in the division with Cape Breton, Bathurst, Charlottetown, St. John, and let's be honest, us, than Rimouski, Chicoutimi, and Baie-Comeau for Quebec. So they got a little bit of a chance maybe to kind of catch them, and I think they actually play them one more time too.
Yeah, that's going to be it's very well possible that Halifax catches them too, because they are at this point taking advantage of competition. But I mean, Quebec's kind of doing that too, and it'll be a let's call it a dogfight, because Halifax, you have to assume, has the easiest schedule because they're going to be facing, once March rolls around, every second game is going to be against either St. John or Cape Breton or Bathurst.
Yeah, so they're the 24th, 25th, 26th, Halifax and Victoriaville, Sherbrooke, and Quebec. So they got one more game against Quebec in that one. And then, like you said, in March, St. John, Cape Breton, Bathurst, Moncton, Bathurst, St. John, Moncton, Charlottetown, Cape Breton, Charlottetown.
Yeah, like they're just
so that's quite a favorable schedule.
They're probably going to sweep every game in March, and so they very well could surpass Quebec just with their favorable schedule. So that'll be something that'll be determined, I guess, at the end. But by the looks of it, I would probably maybe put my money on Halifax just based on favorability.
Jesus. Oh, okay. No, they got Gatineau. I was like, they might not lose a game again until that 24th, but they got Rimouski, Gatineau in there. So those are going to be in Drummondville too. Like there's some games in there, but you just look at their schedule, you're like, fuck, they might not lose until the 24th when they play Victoriaville. But let's get to some news and notes from around the Q.
News and notes from around the Q.
So the top prospects game was last Wednesday in Langley. Team White got a victory over Bedard and Etienne Morin in Team Red, 4-2. Only one Q player had any points in the game. That was Matthew Catafor, who got the first goal 3 minutes in. I fell asleep after the first period, but I did kind of watch the first period because can we stop putting games at 11 o'clock at night out here? Like, can we have it out here in the Q so we get it at a regular time? I think even last year in Kitchener it was at like 10 o'clock our time or something like that. And I get it. You got to have it for all across Canada, and that's what happens when you go out west when, the main guy's home is Langley, BC or North Vancouver. That helps as they definitely scheduled this out. But Morin didn't start out great, but he kind of picked it up from all I heard in the second and the third period. Had a tough stretch early on, and I mean, why wouldn't you when you're playing with the best against the best in basically a showcase game? Your nerves are going to be there, and that's understandable. And I thought he got better.
Yeah, he even joked that his first shift wasn't great. And if you go back and watch his first shift, which was the first minute and a half of the game because he was on the top line, it wasn't very good.
Yep.
But yeah, he was right. His first shift not his greatest, but as the game went on, he got progressively better, and he was had instant chemistry with a couple of the guys, and tape-to-tape passes, and I think he put on a good show. I think he's probably going to be,
good to see him get the A too.
Yeah, that was kind of unexpected, but I think he's at this point you're probably going to see him maybe a late first, anywhere from late first to mid second round pick.
Yeah,
which is never a bad thing, and because he was a second round pick in the queue, so to for him to go and surpass everyone that was drafted ahead of him in the Q draft just says how well he's been, and he's very, very strong game. And I mean, the morons that do the pregame show on TSN should probably think before they speak, because they're talking in the pregame show about the points record in a prospects game is 4 points, and Bedard will have no problem passing that, and he finished with no points and a -2. The hype is real, but there's going to be games where he's not going to get a point.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter if he's finished with 0 points and a -2, he's still going to be the first overall pick. It's not even close. Don't hype him up. Just we know how good he is. There's no reason for you to assume that he's going to go and break a points record. That was ridiculous.
That's what I joked about, with the World Juniors. I'm like, who's covering it next year? Because if they don't have Bedard to talk about, what's TSN going to talk about? And you could tell, the Chicoutimi and the Quebec game that was on, they don't really know much about the league. It's like they get a piece of paper, and I get it. There's a lot of hockey that they have to watch, and they can't watch every game of every league for. I think there's 4 games on TSN. So I understand it. They get a page, they look, they see, but it's just maybe do a little bit of research on these teams, especially Quebec, who you're probably going to see in the Memorial Cup possibly, and Chicoutimi, who's pretty good. Maybe do a little bit of research before you get into these games.
And that's it. It's these guys. I think it's who is it? Carlo Koliakovo.
Yeah,
one of them, and there's another guy, and I forget the woman's name, but I know she's really good.
Pounder, Cheryl Pounder.
She's
just one of the good ones.
And the gentlemen could at least educate themselves before they go on camera, start talking about these players. I mean, they've got no information about it. The TSN, I mean, the World Juniors, Ray Ferraro and what's the other guy's name? Gord Miller.
Yeah.
Gord Miller. They literally know junior hockey. It's they're not just junior hockey. They know hockey. They know the players. They know they don't need to go and study a book before every game, even though they probably do anyways.
Yeah.
But these ones, they just I think they make up stuff on the go.
Yeah, they just get a sheet with scores and stuff, and they just go. I'm trying to see what I think Bedard in his first game back, or one of the games back, he had 5 points.
Yeah,
something like that against
Medicine Hat. I know he had a hat trick against Medicine Hat. That's the only thing I can tell you right now. But
yeah, I mean he's good. He's
good
as advertised, but he's not going to break every record that he ever steps in when he plays a game. Yeah, he had 3 goals in a 6-4 loss to Medicine Hat, and that's the thing is he's getting the points, but they're not necessarily getting the W's. Your favorite player, Bogdan Hot Ass, had 2 goals for Medicine Hat.
That's a hot ass
in a 6-4 victory. But that's the thing, he's as good as advertised. He's going to be good, and I think they're falling into the hype of things like this. When he plays against WHL, he has 3 goals, so they're just oh well, he's playing the best in the CHL. He's going to have 3 or 4 or 5 goals as they go in, but. It was good to see Etienne Morin get the A, get on there, get some national exposure, and like I said, you look at some of the pundits and some of the rankings that have been coming out, and I know a few of the Quebec guys are like, do you guys even watch Quebec hockey? Because there's no Quebec players in that first round, it seems, or there's one right at the end. I mean, come Christmas, I thought Etienne Morin would maybe sneak into that. Right now, it's nothing on his fault, but he's basically ranked where he should be based on the way the team is going right now.
You got that right, and I just hope the team play doesn't affect his draft stock, because that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
I think was the St. John game? Yes, because he didn't play the Cape Breton game. Every single player on Moncton was either a 0 or a minus, Morin was a +2. Like that just shows the kind of player that he is, the kind of effort that he's putting out there. And
I wonder if that had anything to do with the fact that he finally got a different defense partner.
Well, for half the game.
Yeah. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. You've got some news that you want to get to.
That's right. I'm going to put my own little spin on this news and notes from around the league. Adam?
Yeah.
Guess what?
What's that?
Val-d'Or is finally in a lottery spot. Finally in a lottery spot. I can't believe that finally happens. But
we're going to get this horn thing figured out.
It only took so long.
Yeah.
But Val-d'Or is finally in a lottery spot, and it couldn't come at a better time.
That's at least the good news from this past week.
That is very good news. However, there's a big game Wednesday as the Sea Dogs are in Val-d'Or.
Oh, that is a big one.
So this could, if Val-d'Or wins, they're back out of the lottery. But if they lose and St. John wins in regulation, the Sea Dogs just get that much closer to them. So it's a very big game. And, because
their next
Sea Dogs.
Their next 3 is St. John on Wednesday, and then they go to Victoriaville on Saturday and Blainville on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's the next 3. And we're going to try and keep you updated on the Val-d'Or fall, although we're getting pretty close to it, too.
The Val-d'Or Fallers.
Hey-o! That's awesome. Yeah, good to see that they're finally in the lottery, so we have a chance at that first overall pick.
One nut in the can right now.
Alrighty, perfect. Let's keep it going. All right, the Q team of the week. Olivia Nadeau from Gatineau, 1 game, 2 goals, 4 assists. Charles-Antoine Dumont from Baie-Comeau, 3 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. Cole Burbage of St. John, 2 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. Nicholas Bilodeau. Yeah, Bilodeau.
Mm-hmm.
Bilodeau, yeah. St. John, 2 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. Frederic Brunet, back-to-back weeks, 2 games, 2 goals, 2 assists. And Matthias Rousseau, he is the goaltender, 2-0, a .979 save percentage, .50 goals against average, and 1 shutout. And your player of the week was from the team we will see tonight, Gatineau. Olivier Nadeau, in that 1 game, he had 6 points in 1 game. That's pretty freaking good.
Was that the 8-goal first period game?
Yeah, that seemed to work out for him. Thought maybe Riley Kidney might get on that team of the week. He's been nothing but gold as he got there since he's been in Gatineau. But that is your team of the week for the Q. Now we get to the Jeremy Boucher Wildcast Podcast team of the week.
Yeah, well, it's didn't do much research on this one. A little busy over the weekend.
Yeah.
But I think I've come up with a little bit. So starting in the goaltending, I'm going with Charlottetown's Jacob Robillard. Almost stole a win against the Quebec Ramparts.
Yeah.
46 saves in a 2-1 OT loss. I think Charlottetown only had 13 shots on goal. So that's how you steal a game, folks. And
kind of reminded you of Jonathan Lemieux last year against said Charlottetown when he had 46 or 50 saves or something
was just
like
one
that.
One of those efforts. Yeah. And if Charlottetown manages to sneak into the playoffs and he pulls out a game like this, he's not going to pull out 4 of them.
No.
But a lot of the Q pundits will probably take whoever they face in the first round in a sweep. But if he can play like this, a
little bit of
for at least 1 game, you might be able to get the Islanders a win. On D, I'm also going with I only have 1 defenseman. That's okay. We're shorthanded this week. Nicholas Bilodeau, his hat trick against Bathurst was the first in franchise history by a rookie defenseman.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, and they've had, William Villeneuve and Jeremy Poirier, DeRoche and Kevin Gagne,
Thomas Chabot.
They've had a long list of defensemen. So that's a pretty decent accomplishment.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought I had another D, but that's okay. Up front, Cole Burbridge, again from St. John. He has 15 points, and he finished January. I guess it's not finished yet.
Will be by the time you hear this.
Yeah. He had 15 points in January, and from the beginning of the season to January, 17 points.
Wow.
So in 1 month, he's almost doubled his...
He had all those points against Bathurst and Moncton, didn't he?
Yeah. Imagine. Patting those stats against, the Moncton Wildcats and the Bathurst Teton, the two teams that you should be patting your stats against.
Yes.
Next up is Tristan Allard of Rouyn-Noranda. Their leading scorer, because for some reason it's not Daniel Bourash. And again, I just skimmed through this one. And my last forward is Igor Gurionov of Victoriaville, because there's no reason really. I just chose a name because I haven't had him on my team before. So that's my PK team of the week.
Yeah, I like that.
Because I thought I had two defensemen.
Hey, you had a power play. Now you got a PK.
That's right. Now I'm on PK. So we are that wraps up the podcast team of the week.
Well done. That's
not bad. That was done in a matter of minutes.
Well done. Yeah, you've got it down to a science right now, and I like how you've got variations: pull the goaltender, PK, power play. Man, you look at that race for the final playoff spot. Cape Breton's got 37 points, Bathurst got 37 points, Charlottetown's got 37 points, and I think right now out of this, I probably trust Charlottetown's goaltending to get that 8th spot. And if you can get 7th and take on Halifax or Rimouski, even in 6, I mean, they're not that far behind 6, and Robidard can play the way he's been playing. I mean, that'll be tough to do it 4 times in a row, but that's a team that in the playoffs, one of those nobody wants to see.
Yeah. Like Bathurst is in a tailspin right now. Like I don't think they're going to make it.
No.
I think Charlottetown, their goaltending will get them in.
Yep.
And just the offensive production that the Sea Dogs are getting right now will get them in as well. So
they're only 3 points behind.
Yeah. So Sea Dogs, like their goaltending's not fantastic, but they're scoring like 7 goals a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're going to score 7 goals a game,
your goaltending doesn't have to be fantastic.
Your goalie only has to let in 6.
Yeah.
To win. So at this point, if I were to take, I think Charlottetown will get in. I think St. John will get in. I think Bathurst will be out. And
Cape Breton will be out.
No, Cape Breton will be in.
Well, you got 4 teams for 2 spots.
Val-d'Or's going to drop.
No, but it's conference, right?
Oh,
I guess they can split. They can move over. I always forget that they can. There's a team that can move over. So yeah. Yeah, okay. I got it now.
Yeah.
I was only looking at the Eastern Conference. I forget that the bottom team, the 9th team, if they're ahead of Val-d'Or, they can. What a prize that'll be. You can either get Quebec or you can get Sherbrooke.
Good luck.
Absolutely.
Bone chance.
All right, let's get to the part where probably everyone's waiting for us to get to.
Weekly Rewind.
Welcome to the Weekly Rewind, presented by the local sports pub. Looking for a great place to have some wings, beers, and watch sports with friends? Head to 1715 Main Street, where the Salty Sea Dog used to be. Stay tuned to their social medias, as I'm sure they're going to have some Super Bowl parties and details in the coming weeks, as it's now the Eagles and the Chiefs. Wah, wah. And, they had Royal Rumble last Saturday. If I wasn't so annoyed by the hockey team and just wanted to not be around people, I probably would have gone to see it. Looked like it was pretty full in there, so... they're getting UFC. They got hockey every night. So stay tuned for Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl details. Do you have a really early prediction, or you want to wait till next week for that?
Go Rihanna.
Yes, there it is. Yeah. I hate the Chiefs. I hate the Eagles. I don't get commercials in Canada. Meh, Rihanna. So I guess go Rihanna out of that.
Go Rihanna.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of her music, but I do know that she will put on a hell of a show.
We found love in a hopeless place.
Pun to replay.
We found love in a hopeless place.
Oh, nailed it. Yeah, so the bottom continues to fall out drastically for this hockey team. As like I said after last week, 2 must-win games. They went ahead and lost both of them. They're now lost 6 of 7, bringing the record to 22-20-0-2 for 46 points, second in the Maritimes, and they're now fifth in the West, or they're still fifth in the Western Conference or Eastern Conference, but they're now 4 points behind Chicoutimi for that fourth spot and 6 points behind Rimouski, and they're only 4 points up on Baie-Comeau as they continue to drop. The sad part is they're only 6 points up on Val-d'Or, who's holding the last lottery spot. And I think that's the grossest part of this whole thing. We're not going to go each individual game. Saturday, I tweeted it. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed because, look, we had the week off. Couldn't tell. Mm-hmm. St. John played the night before. Couldn't tell.
Yep.
They're outplayed.
Let's just put last week's show and just replay last week's show, right?
They're getting outworked. They got outplayed. I mean, I was doing the picture stuff that I usually do for Instagram before the game, and I went up to take a picture of the warm up and saw goalie savant Denis Dorion up there.
Oh yes.
And he said to me, "This one, Brito in net, blowout." And I went, "For who?" I went, "Well, Wildcats." You've been watching them the last week?
Yep.
And and then Sunday, a better effort. They were in it. They lost 6-4. I don't know how you go from 6-1 on the season last year to now 2-5 on the season this year against the Eagles. And I get the Eagles got better. They were projected to get better. So were we. And I don't like the fact that we're calling for the coach like we're about to, because we don't have a backup in mind. But it looks like the team has quit on the coach, and I don't understand how he's continuing to be behind the bench. And it's not just him. I think it's a sweeping change for all three of them. I think it has to be. I think you need a new voice, a new something, a new everything. Mm-hmm. Because even if they let Lacroix go, well, Heptich has been there for the 3 years with Lacroix, so what new voice is that? Yeah. The power play is... Look, if he's going out like the band on the Titanic. He's going out with his line combinations that he didn't change. He's going out with his power play that does nothing, and he continues to put them out there. He finally got away from Morin and Hamel. He made one change on Sunday. One, and it was Marcel in. And then
Marcel was in because Morin was a late scratch.
No, Marcel was in first. Ballantyne was the scratch. Yeah. Then Ballantyne got in but you made one change.
Well, it's one of those things where lately it's either been Marcel or Ballantyne in the lineup, right? You're only carrying 7D.
Yeah.
And it seems like Grenier is finally getting the ice time that he should be getting.
Deservedly so.
And so you're either playing Marcel one game and benching Ballantyne or vice versa. So there's not very many other choices. Unless you're going to start, sitting Grenier and getting the other two in. Like there's no other choices. And we finally saw, Hamel taken away from Morin, and Grenier moved up with Morin. And if you go back and watch the first shift with them on the ice, they had a prime scoring opportunity.
Yep.
Right? But then right back Sunday afternoon with
Hamel and...
Well, I guess Morin didn't...
Fortier-Johnson, I think.
Yeah, well, Morin didn't play on Sunday, so where I was about to go with that didn't even count.
But it would have counted, because you probably would have seen... You saw... Probably. Actually, Hamel and Morin were playing together.
Yeah.
In the lineup before Morin was out, it was Hamel and Morin, Marcel and Plandowski, Grenier and Fortier-Johnson.
If I go through our messages, Adam, and I see what time did you tell me that finally Grenier was playing with Morin? Let me just go through our long list of messages here that we seem to talk more than I thought we did. Here we go, talking about the Rumble. Here's a picture of you watching the Rumble instead of the game. What time is this message? 8:26 p.m. So that would probably be halfway through the second period.
Yeah.
There's one shift where Morin and Grenier together, and they literally have a scoring opportunity. That's just them two. They start the scoring opportunity.
Yep.
Then it's gone.
And the Wildcats show the save from Filion on the breakaway. Mm-hmm. Beauty save to keep it 0-0 or keep it 1-0 at some point. Mm-hmm. But it's a terrible pitch by a defenseman, which leads to a breakaway chance. 2-on-0s. Why are guys in the lineup that don't deserve to be in the lineup right now? And it's like I said, it's the band on the Titanic. He's going down with his combinations. He's going down with, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Well, guess what? It's been 2 weeks. They've lost 6 games. They haven't effing figured it out, and they're not going to. Mm-hmm. It's falling on deaf ears.
Pretty much. I mean, there's nothing really else to say about it. It's
what are you pulling the goaltender for?
That's another thing.
What are you pulling Filion and putting Steinman in for?
With 5 minutes left in the game.
And then
are you trying to change the momentum when it's 6-3?
And then pull the goalie. Are you saving Steinman's goal against average? That to me was just the icing on the cake. At that point, I was like, I don't know if I want to go Sunday against Cape Breton. And I didn't. Not because I was feeling like I wasn't feeling well. So maybe they won 9 in a row. I probably would have sucked it up and been there. But you have to give a reason to go. And that place on Saturday night was juiced. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's because Tim Hortons makes kids pay for tickets for Timbits weekend, and Full Pop for tickets, but that place was juiced, and it was like there was 1,200 people in there because of the effort. And what did you say to me before we came on? There's 4 players that are playing well.
There's 4, maybe 5 players that,
if you don't count the goalies, because it's not their fault.
Yeah, the goalies are literally saving them from utter embarrassment.
Yeah,
further embarrassment. And so everything I've said a lot of crappy things about Filion, in the first half of the season. But when he's playing right now, he's literally bailing them out. And if he's letting in a goal, it's because of a turnover by,
the player X just filling a blank.
It's the bakery's been open.
Yeah.
The bakery's cooking up
some
fresh turnovers every single game here, and it's to the point where I want to go to the mezzanine and ask for a pastry, and I'm expecting it on the board to say it's called the D, it's just turnover after turnover after turnover after turnover, and every single turnover ends up in the back of their net, or they're being bailed out by the goalies. Yeah. And anytime the opposition turns the puck over in their own zone and the Wildcats get it, it's some cute little dangle, or they go and shoot it wide or off a shin pad. And it's like they're not. They're getting the bounces. They're also getting the bounces.
Yeah.
They're also the benefactors of turnovers. They're just not taking advantage of those like the other teams are. And I think that's what it is. Like, how are some teams able to score on literally every single turnover? You would expect one of the top end teams to take advantage of those, but you're seeing these bottom teams that are scoring every time the puck ends up on their stick in the zone. That's not a result of a zone entry.
Everyone's playing simple hockey.
Yeah.
And the Wildcats get a 2-on-1, and instead of shooting for the pad for a rebound, and I saw it from a player on the ice a couple times, and I hate to call them out, but I'll just say a player on the ice a couple times, it's trying to make a toe drag to make a move.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in the pillows and let a rebound happen. The highlights were rolling in the St. John game. So they had 6 shots in the first period. The first shot in the second period against a 16-year-old goaltender who, congratulations, got his first win against Moncton, was at 11:09 when it was OJ putting the puck in the net.
Yeah.
Because it's 16-6, and that was the 7th shot. Like, it was, I was filming, waiting for the first shot to just say, hey, we finally got a shot in the second period. And it's, for a team that, when Dan came here as an NHL coach, and it was, you saw it in the pandemic year, and last year it was preaching defense, and it was we were going to win 2-1 and 3-1, and we were winning close games in this. Well, it's now 6 goals against, 7 goals against, 5 goals against, 5 goals against, 6 goals against. They're averaging 5 goals against in these losses, and you go back to the winning streak. They won 4-1, they won 5-1, they won 5-2, they won 4-1, they won 6-2. They weren't giving up goals. They were getting this team struggles to score in general. You give up 5 a game. You should not be in a position where when it's 2-0 after St. John, I'm out because we're not coming back. Mm-hmm. And that's where we are right now. And it's not a general manager thing. I'll put that out there right now. He made the trades. This team won 5 of 6. So we can't really blame the trades anymore. He brought the players in. They won 5 of 6. So he's off the hook. And I'm not just saying that because he's a friend of the show. He put the team together. They won 5 of 6 games. Mm-hmm. He did his job. Mm-hmm. Pelche's not walking through the door. Havanov's not walking through the door. Gauthier's not walking through the door that we talked about at the draft. The group in that room has to get it figured out, but they got to be led by a new voice now. It's unfortunately time.
It's coaching. It's leadership. At this point, there's players wearing letters that just shouldn't be wearing letters. There's no sense of urgency. There's no calming influence on the team. Jacob Pelche was vocal. Mm-hmm. He was calming, and he was a calming influence, and he played his heart out every shift. Jacob Hudson, same thing. And we just don't have that captain. We don't have that leadership on the team right now that can stand up on the bench and say, "Wake the fuck up, boys. We're better than this. Yeah. Let's go." Yeah. We saw Hamel drop the gloves in one of the games. I forget which one it was.
Cape Breton game.
The Cape Breton game. Do something. Like, if you've got to do something to fire up your team, whether it's, I know you can't. Apparently he did a throat slashing motion in the penalty box towards the guy he fought. So that's real leadership right there. Not.
Was it last game too? Against Chicoutimi, we were getting a power play. He goes in and challenges the guy to a fight. Yeah.
So he's going to be suspended for the next game. Conveniently enough, it's in his hometown, so have fun visiting with your family. There's no leadership. There's no leadership. There's no sense of urgency.
And sometimes a quiet captain is okay.
Sometimes a quiet captain is okay.
But right now, you can't be a quiet captain.
You need to be vocal.
Yeah.
You need this team to understand what the hell is going on, and that's just not happening. It seems every period, the opposition is standing up and banging their sticks on the side of the boards. Well, that's not happening.
No,
that's not happening.
No,
there's no energy on the bench. There's no energy on the ice. Their performance is.
They just want a new voice.
If I don't know if it's a new voice, but they need something. And I'll come over there and give them a kick in the ass if I have to. Yeah. I'll be the one to kick them in the ass.
It has to be something because it's not like it sadly appears like they've quit on him. It's a lot of hero hockey. It's one guy trying to go through 3 to get in the zone instead of chipping and chasing with a couple other guys. God love Gabe Smith, but what are you doing getting in a fight at the end of the game and yapping your mouth at 6-3? I love that energy that he brings, but bring that in the first period. Right? Mm-hmm. And he's the only one bringing it for the most part. And that's, you like seeing that, but there's 4 guys. Did you go over the 4 guys that are playing?
I honestly, if I'm looking at the roster right now and I'm looking at, what I've seen, there's 4, maybe 5 guys, excluding the goaltenders, that are showing up every night.
Yeah.
And that's LaBelle.
Yep.
That's
Check.
Loshing.
Check.
When he gets the puck on the net.
Yeah.
There's Morin.
Yep.
And God forbid, Luke McPhee. And Luke McPhee, I thought, he's always moving his feet. And when he plays, He plays with energy.
It's a north-south game.
It's the north-south game. He's not doing none of these cute. He's not being a cutesy-footsy. He's playing his game. He knows his role, and that's what you need. You need players that just play their role. Players that play for the jersey, not for the name on the back, which is what's happening right now.
That's what it looks like.
And simple as that. And if you're not gonna play 100% and you're not gonna play for the coach, go home. Don't go home, but just something needs to be done.
Yeah.
If there's gonna be a coaching change, so be it. If there's gonna be someone that steps up and says, someone from the coaching staff that steps up and says, give me your jersey. Here's one without a letter on it. I think this will look better on so-and-so's jersey.
So be it.
So be it. But at this point, you're probably 2 months away from swinging the golf clubs at this rate. And I wouldn't have said that a month or two ago.
No. We were looking for third, fourth place, having home ice in the first round, getting a second round series against Halifax, being in it with the moves they made, giving them a challenge. And now you're in a fight for a playoff spot because they're about to go take on Gatineau, Victoriaville, Quebec in 3 and 4. Tonight in Gatineau. Then Friday it's third in the West in Victoriaville. And then first in the East in Quebec. Gatineau just pumped Val-d'Or 11-4. Any thought that that's not going to happen to Moncton the way they're going?
It's pretty damn possible at this point.
And then it's like, that's a tough stretch. Then they get, St. John, who they just lost 7-3. Bathurst, who, is worse than us, but they should be. They're in year one of their rebuild. And then Charlottetown, who's got a goaltender that can steal games, and you gave up 5 against them after being up 3-1. So, you lose. I don't even think they'll get a point. Do you?
What were we hoping for? Fucking 3 weeks ago.
I was hoping for
3.
Yeah, I was hoping for 2 points. Either a win against one or a couple overtimes is what I was hoping for before this slide happened.
I'm not even going to throw out a guess.
Like now, that's why I'm like, it's rhetorical. Will they even get a point? And this might be the team that shows up against all 3 and somehow wins all 3. And then we look really stupid or very inspiring. One of the two. But I hate that narrative. Well, they looked at the standings and they looked at St. John. Guess what, Moncton? You're right there.
You're almost there now. Teams are going to start looking down on you.
Like St. John is 3-7 in the last 10. Charlottetown's 3-5. Cape Breton's 4-6. Well, so are we. We're 4-6. Mm-hmm. We're 0-3 in our last 3, obviously. But we're 4 points behind Chicoutimi. We're 4 points up on Baie-Comeau. The problem is Rimouski, Chicoutimi, and Baie-Comeau, who we're surrounded by, are all going to play each other. So those aren't, as long as they're not 3-point games, those aren't really great. Mm-hmm. But you lose 3 in a row to go 9 of 10. She's going to get a little bit more tight and then you go against 3 teams you should beat. Like, it's just not a spot we need to be in with the crew that we need to be with right now. And we talked about this last week, so I don't know if you've got names this week. Because last week we said, well, we shouldn't really, but
at this point, why not?
At this point,
what's going to happen?
Yeah.
If they shut us down, they shut us down. We'll just start another podcast. Yeah. The go nothing. Not even going to say it.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
The funny thing
everyone is talking about.
The funny thing was, I was driving home from Halifax on Sunday, and I knew the team was leaving on Monday morning, and I thought, should I stop in Amherst and pick up Fabian Joseph, who is currently the associate coach of the Amherst Ramblers, who was the assistant coach in Moncton when they won a President's Cup in 2010, who's been all over the world coaching.
Yeah.
Another one that comes to mind right off the bat, Paul Boudelier.
You said that name last week.
I said that name last week. He was the defensive coach for the Sea Dogs when they won a championship in 2012, I think. I think he's working for an agency now, so I don't know if he's still interested in coaching. But, those are two local guys. When I say local, I mean maritime-based, like not flying a guy across the world here to join the team. And
not flying a guy from Vancouver.
Well, Bruce, there it is. I don't.
He's got some ties to the Maritimes.
He does have some ties. He's got some ties to Moncton as well.
Dave McKnight put it out.
There's even this guy here, Troy Ryan, who he's currently coaching, I think, the women's national team. You're probably not going to lose that. You're probably not going to leave that gig to come coach the Wildcats. But Fabian Joseph has a history with the Wildcats. He's not too far. He's literally 45 minutes down the road. You could call him up on a Monday morning, and he's here for lunch. Yeah. He's not very far. There's names out there like Andrew Barrington. Like, my God, he's sending me names left and right over the weekend. I'm like, I would never put you in charge of a hockey team just because these names are not guys I would bring in.
Did you get Kevin Bieksa?
I got Kevin Bieksa from Andrew Barrington.
I know, and I was like...
I also got Mario Durocher. Like, no way.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing a guy who's been fired 15 times to come in junior hockey to come coach junior hockey. And there's...
because I think the next coach, and the reason why I want to but the reason why I think they should maybe move from all three is, well, they're all complicit. Lacroix's the head coach. He runs the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Heptich runs the D. It hasn't been great. LaBosse runs the power play. Don't get me started.
Mm-hmm.
The coach that you hire now has to be next season, because you can't hire a guy for 2.5 months and then go get another guy in the year where we're actually supposed to be contending as a top 4 team. Because right now, a lot of these kids will come back, and I don't see a top 4 team in this unless something drastically changes. And I think, the guy signing the paychecks isn't going to want to go get a guy for 2 months and then another guy for the year. And I've been through 6 coaches in 5 years since I've moved here and started this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of done with it. And I thought I was done with it with Dan Lacroix. And here we are. But I think I don't want to see Lacroix moved for LaBosse or Heptich to take over. Nothing against them. But where does the voice change to the team? And that's the thing I get at, is where does the voice, where does something change if you just give them interim?
Yeah. And that's right. It's at this point, Heptich, I think, is in charge of the defense. Well, that's part of the problem right now.
6 goals.
That's part of the problem right now. And LaBrosse is probably in charge of the special teams. Is Daryl Boyce sitting at home laughing right now? Is Ryan Salva sitting at home laughing right now because they've moved on from them?
Yeah.
When Daryl Boyce was in charge of the power play 2 years ago, it wasn't this bad.
No.
It was.
Players we had some significantly better players, but that's not to say we don't have some skilled players right now. It's just the fact they're just standing there trying to do the same thing.
We have players who can put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah.
That just can't.
Yep.
And that's it. There needs to be a change, whether it's different letters on the jerseys or behind the bench. Like, we're saying this right now, and like you said earlier, we could go in there and win 3 games in Quebec, and we look like complete fools. But
perfect. We'll do the same speech
I
next
just
week.
don't see that happening.
No, I don't either.
We are in a extremely tough spot. If I were to take I don't know anything about this team. I don't get any insider information other than creeping Instagram. right, and finding stuff out.
Yep.
But when I read the paper after the game Sunday, and there's no quotes from Dan Lacroix, but there were quotes from Dan Lacroix following Saturday's game, that's eye-opening.
Yeah.
When I go on YouTube and I watch the post-game video that the Wildcats put on YouTube after every game, and Dan Lacroix is in the video after Saturday's game, but he's not on the one after Sunday's game, that's eye-opening.
Yep.
You know? And it's
pretty telling.
Is that an indicator?
Yep.
Is he no longer with the team already? Are they just toying with us because they know this is what we're going to talk about on this show? Are we a target for their organization right now? Like it's.
I would hope not, because I think, yes, we have a platform to talk about this, but don't think this isn't happening on the boards. Mm-hmm. Don't think this isn't happening.
It's
on
being talked about.
Group chats and workplaces, mm-hmm. and just because you don't hear about it in the paper doesn't mean it's not being talked about.
Yeah,
and
it's being talked about on the board.
Yeah.
There's people like myself who have been a loyal Wildcats fan since friggin' day one. Who are saying shit's not going right. Something needs to be done. Yeah. Do we blame the coaches? Do we blame the players? What needs to be done? Well, it's a little bit of everything right now. Yeah. And if the players aren't performing, who's responsible for that?
Yeah.
And
it's not the guy that brought him in. It's the guy that,
there's people talking. We get messages at them. We get people tell us, have you heard this? Have you heard this? Have you heard that?
A, we couldn't tell you if we did.
Yeah.
But B,
is so-and-so on the bus? Did so-and-so make the trip to Gatineau?
Yeah.
It's...
Why is this player out? Why is this player healthy scratch? I don't know, but...
For the sake of transparency, so Morant was scratched on Sunday because of a lower body injury.
Yeah.
And Mercier has...
surgery not related to hockey.
Yeah, but not serious surgery.
Yeah.
Like tonsil.
He'll be back this week.
Tonsil surgery is what they called it.
Yeah.
So it's not like these players are saying, I quit.
No.
They're injured. They're hurt.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you would. I didn't even think you'd think that angle for Mercier when he's all of a sudden not with the team anymore, and we had Langlois and Pavin in back-to-back years. But he will be picked up when they're in Gatineau. He might be playing. It's like Marty said, it's something where he has trouble breathing. And mm-hmm. Hockey, you kind of have to breathe, life mm-hmm. in general. So, look, if they're going to bring a coach in, it better be a guy that's here. The only thing I can think of that saves Dan's job for another week is the fact that they're on the road trip. We don't know who's on the bus, but if they're bringing in one of your local guys, they aren't bringing them in and driving them to Gatineau and Victoriaville where you have no practice.
No, you have him in town on Monday morning.
Yeah, and that's the only thing. But
or you're flying him to
wherever,
Ottawa, to meet them in Gatineau.
Yeah, and get some practice time and stuff like that.
It
would be perfect if this losing streak had to come with the prospects, so they had a week to get things figured out, because now you're figuring it out on the fly. But I guarantee when a new guy comes in, shit starts now, and stuff starts now from mm-hmm. like right from that first practice of hard practices, and I just hope if whoever they bring in is not just here and
if they bring somebody
if they do in March, we're hearing after the season's over, we've let this guy go, we're doing our extensive coaching search, because I just don't want to hear it. I want a guy that if you're going to gab him, he's going to be here. But that's coaching, and they're not going to bring someone local, like we said, like DeCourcy up, because if they do that,
he was my third.
If they do that, that's a 2-month only, and then they're looking for someone next year. Huh?
Why would he be 2-month only?
Do you think he'd leave the Flyers to coach?
I've said all along that he's the best coach out there, not at a higher level.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot of coaches.
Right.
But
that just feels to me like
coach a good team.
Yeah.
And he can coach a not so good team, and we're seeing it right now with the Flyers.
Yeah. Yep.
We're seeing them play their best hockey right now.
Yeah.
When
they're
I think when we went to the home opener, and I told you, I said, this is not going to be a good year for them, and they started to find their groove.
Yep.
and
yeah, I talked to him a little bit after the last home game against Kensington, second last one, and we were just talking to him, and I said, like, you're not going to play your best hockey in the first day. You have to consistently get better. It's like building a house.
Yeah,
you're not going to put your furniture in without a framework, without walls. You got to build that, and that's what he's doing. It just, to me, that he's done such a good job with the Flyers that I just don't know if he'd want to leave them long term. So it would feel like he's going to get us up in the standings, maybe get us a playoff win, and then he'll go back to the Flyers, and we'll see. But I don't freaking know. You want to get to everyone's favorite part of the show?
Can we just replace the stick tap of the week with more complaining?
If you got more.
No.
No,
let's just do it.
It's just, we're as frustrated as everyone in this city is. We have a platform to say it. We just want them to be better. And we just came in with so many expectations that's the worst part, is we're not mad. We're just disappointed because they came in with high expectations, even up until Christmas. Even up until January 10th, all the expectations were there. They had won 5 of 6. We were going to be in that thing against Quebec. They were, but it's so frustrating. And, yeah. All right, everyone's favorite part of the show.
The stick tap of the week. Sponsored.
Every single time.
Eric Murray, realtor, buy our house from him. Stick tap of the week.
All right, so again, just going back to what I talked about at the beginning of the show. Obviously, to find the paramedics who were working in Lake Echo, Nova Scotia on last Thursday night will be pretty tough to find unless you're listening in Halifax and you happen to know a paramedic that works in Dartmouth or whatever. Yeah. So it's kind of that start. Didn't get the names, even though my brother-in-law Ben said the woman was extremely attractive and he wished he got her name and phone number. So that could be a hint, if there's an attractive paramedic that works in Dartmouth that was working Thursday night.
Just that one.
Yeah. That just happened to go help an older gentleman out in Lake Echo, Nova Scotia, because he had a stroke. Well, let me know so I can forward their information off to my brother-in-law. Secondly, I guess the doctors and all that at QE2 in Halifax. What can you say? They've been super open and super, I guess, honest and transparent, telling us, doesn't matter how many times my wife called the hospital, they were always saying, yeah, he's doing good. There was never any sense of concern anytime we called the hospital. So that's obviously something we appreciate as our family, and just know that we know he's in good hands, which is the most important part. And you hear so many people complain about the healthcare system right now. I didn't see that when I was in Halifax. We walked through the emergency room and there was maybe 3 people in the emergency room, and that was on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah. So it's that's just something that we have. I think we take it for granted sometimes that we just expect to be, I guess, serviced in quickly, right? But you got to go. It's all. I think it's all based on priority right now, right? So, no, they took good care of the old man, and I know that I want to make it I don't want to make a joke here, but he's in the neurology kind of unit at QE2, and there's a sign. I sent you the picture, and it says stroke service, which I found quite funny. Knowing that my father-in-law is there for stroke service, well, that's I know the stroke service team is taking good care of him, and so that's basically my stick tap is to the paramedic who was working, if anybody knows who it was or tracks her down, I don't know. And the staff at QE2. I also wanted to give a second one, a follow-up.
An honorable one.
because they're just not getting the recognition these days. Yeah. But I do want to prop up the goalies, the Wildcats goalies, because look, if it wasn't for those two right now, these losses would be
bigger,
a lot worse.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Other than the 4 or 5 names I mentioned earlier, those two are the only ones that appear to be playing.
Yep.
So there you go. That's my stick tap. A little rushy and no notes written this week, but I hope you enjoyed it.
The Stick Tap of the Week, sponsored by Eric Murray Real Estate with the RE/MAX Avante team. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Greater Moncton or surrounding area, make sure to check him out on social media or give him a call at 506-863-8802.
And that brings us to the Wildcast Wildcat of the Week, presented by Rosemaryland Massage and Spa, who now direct bills. We're getting into February, so we're getting into the lovey-dovey month.
Singles Awareness Day.
Hey-o. So obviously she's going to have some promotions into February for Valentine's Day. We're probably going to do another like and share promotion, so stay tuned to our social medias for that, and you can win a massage or something from the spa like they did last year. I can't remember what it was, maybe a 60-minute massage, something like that. But stay tuned to our social medias as well as hers. And if you want to book something, you can call her at 506-830-1224 or visit them at 1224 Mountain Road. The Wildcats Walkout of the Week goes to a player that, like we said, it's one of the, other than the goaltenders, one of the 4 guys that are kind of going on this this group right now in the past week. And we're going to go with the guy that did all he could on Sunday to get us out of this funk with a hat trick. He was 50% on faceoffs in the game against St. John. He's always flying out there. He's using his speed to his advantage. And that so for the second week in a row, your Wildcats Wildcat of the Week is number 18, Vinny LaBelle. That'll do it for this week. Hopefully we'll be back next week. Hopefully we didn't say too much, but
very, very possible we could be canceled by next week. So
I think
if this is it, nice talking to you.
Yeah, if this is it, it's been a pleasure. I don't think it will be. I think they understand that we are the voice of the fans. And if it is it, I really hope our fans step up and make sure that it's not it. But look, big road trip tonight starts in Gatineau. It's kind of the season. Gatineau tonight, then they go to Victoriaville on Friday, and then Quebec on Saturday. So, as much as we're going to see what this team was, we are really going to see what this team is right now with 3 big games, 6 of 7 losses. Playing for playoff lives right now, as sad as that sounds, because you keep losing and that creeps in and other teams are getting better. So, yeah, that'll do it for this week. Have a good week.
Eric Murray Realtor, buyer.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast Podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcast.